Hi, I'm Arlith. I just turned 27 and work as a project manager at a tech firm in Seattle. In my family, I've always been the practical one. While my siblings chased dreams, I chased stability. You outdid yourself again, Richard. My Aunt Elaine raised her champagne glass at my brother Marcus's wedding reception. The ballroom sparkled with crystal chandeliers and ice sculptures. A string quartet played in the corner while waiters circulated with trays of champagne and appetizers that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Nothing but the best for my firstborn son, Dad beamed, straightening his expensive tuxedo. 300 guests, top shelf everything. I sipped my champagne quietly, calculating the cost in my head. Easily 6 figures, probably closer to 200,000. Remember Vanessa's wedding last year? The vineyard and those imported flowers? Uncle Warren chuckled beside me. How could anyone forget? Dad took out a second mortgage for that one. Your time will come too, sweetheart. Dad overheard and squeezed my shoulder. My little girl deserves just as much. That was 2 years ago. Since then, I'd watched Dad lavish attention and resources on my siblings without a second thought. Marcus and his wife got a down payment for their house as a wedding gift. Vanessa and her husband received a fully paid honeymoon in Bali. You're coming to Sunday dinner, right? Mom called me Thursday night. She'd stepped back from most family decisions years ago, letting Dad run the show. Wouldn't miss it. Need me to bring anything? Just yourself, honey. Elaine and Warren are coming too. Sunday dinners were our tradition. Despite the obvious favoritism, we were still close, or so I thought. Everything changed 3 weeks after Marcus's wedding when I received a call from a lawyer. Miss Williams, I'm calling regarding your grandmother's estate. My grandmother Evelyn had passed 6 months earlier. We'd been close. I spent summers with her when the family tension got too much. She left you her investment portfolio and lake house. The total value is approximately $750,000. I nearly dropped my phone. Grandma Evelyn had always said I reminded her of herself, practical, determined. I never expected this. Does the rest of the family know? I asked. They've been notified. The will reading is scheduled for Monday. The reading was tense but civil. Dad seemed surprised but congratulated me. Marcus and Vanessa offered tight smiles. She always did favor you, Vanessa whispered, but there was no real malice in her voice. For weeks after, things seemed normal. I kept working, visited the lake house on weekends, and started learning about investments from Uncle Warren, who worked in finance. Your grandmother was smart with her money, he told me. If you play this right, you'll be set for life. Then came the first sign that something was off. A family barbecue at Dad's house. So when are you planning to sell the lake house? Dad asked casually while flipping burgers. I'm not. I love that place. Why would I sell it? He paused, spatula in midair. Well, it's a valuable property. Might be nice to share some of that inheritance with the family. Your brother and sister have expenses with their new marriages. But they got their weddings and gifts. This is what Grandma wanted me to have. His expression changed so quickly, I almost missed it. A flash of something cold and calculating before his usual smile returned. Of course. Just thinking out loud. More potato salad? But as I watched him serve food to Marcus and his wife, laughing too loudly, I couldn't shake the feeling that something fundamental had shifted. The weirdness at the barbecue was just the beginning. 3 days later, Dad called and asked me to come over to discuss something important. When I arrived, his Mercedes was missing from the driveway. Where's your car? Had to sell it. Dad stood in the doorway looking disheveled, so unlike his usual polished self. Financial restructuring. Inside, the house felt different. Empty spaces on walls where artwork used to hang. The antique vase missing from the entryway table. What's going on? Are you in trouble? Sit down, Arlith. He gestured to the kitchen table. I've had some investments go south. Nothing permanent, just a cash flow problem. How bad? I need about $200,000 to stabilize things. He slid a document across the table. I've drawn up papers for you to transfer some of your inheritance. I stared at him, stunned. You want my money? Not want, need, Family helps family? You think your grandmother would want me to lose this house while you're sitting on a fortune? This isn't just cash, Dad. It's investments. The lake house. You could sell some stocks or take a loan against the property. His voice hardened. I paid for everything your whole life. Now it's your turn to step up. I pushed the papers back. I need time to think. His face flushed red. There isn't time. The bank's breathing down my neck. Maybe you shouldn't have spent hundreds of thousands on Marcus and Vanessa's weddings. That hit a nerve. He slammed his fist on the table. Don't you dare question how I support my children. I left, promising to consider it, but my mind was already made up. The inheritance was mine, not a family bailout fund. Sunday dinner that week was a disaster. We need to discuss the elephant in the room. Dad tapped his glass after we'd barely started eating. Arlith is refusing to help the family during our financial crisis. Marcus put down his fork. What? I thought this was handled. Your sister seems to think her grandmother's money is just for her. It literally is, I said. That's how inheritances work. After everything Dad's done for us? Vanessa looked genuinely shocked. He gave me the wedding of my dreams? And that's somehow my problem? He chose to spend that money. We're family. Marcus leaned forward. When I needed help with our down payment, Dad was there. Again, his choice, not my obligation. This is so selfish. Vanessa shook her head. Always the odd one out, aren't you? Aunt Elaine finally spoke up. Let's all take a breath. Arlith's inheritance is legally hers. Stay out of this, Elaine. Dad's voice was cold. Family business. I stood up. I'm done. I'm not giving up my inheritance because you can't manage money. As I gathered my purse, Dad called after me. You walk out now. Don't expect things to go back to normal. Later that night, my phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. Only it wasn't meant for me. Sis freaking out yet? Dad's gonna talk to Uncle Warren about accessing her accounts tomorrow. I froze, realizing he'd accidentally sent this to our sibling group chat instead of just Vanessa. Another text from Vanessa. She'll cave, or Dad says we can contest Grandma's will. Either way, we get our share. My hands shook as I scrolled up, finding weeks of messages planning how to pressure me, manipulate me, even talk about getting power of attorney if I proved mentally unstable from grief. These people weren't my family. They were predators, and I was their prey. I couldn't sleep after seeing those texts. At 6 a.m., I called Uncle Warren. I need to meet you before you talk to my father today. How did you... Just trust me. It's urgent. We met at a coffee shop near his office. I showed him the text messages. Jesus Christ. Uncle Warren ran his hand through his thinning hair. Richard called me yesterday, asking about accessing your accounts. Said you wanted his help managing the inheritance. That's a complete lie. He's trying to steal from me. This isn't like him. The Richard I know wouldn't... Look at the evidence. Would you please check if he's tried to access my accounts already? Uncle Warren pulled out his tablet and logged into the financial system. There was an attempt yesterday to reset your password. The system flagged it because it came from an unrecognized device. My stomach dropped. Can we lock everything down? Change passwords? Security questions? Everything? While Uncle Warren secured my accounts, my phone blew up with notifications. Vanessa had posted on Facebook. Heartbroken when family turns their back during hard times. Some people forget where they came from once they get money. The comments poured in from extended family. What's going on? Is this about Arlith? So sad to hear about the family troubles. Then Dad replied publicly, some children abandon their parents in their time of need, true colors showing. My cousin Taylor texted me. Your dad says you're refusing to help after he's having health problems? That's cold. Health problems? That was a new lie. I started documenting everything. Screenshots of the texts, social media posts, recorded phone calls with Dad and my siblings. I even installed security cameras at my apartment and the lake house after Marcus showed up unannounced, demanding to talk sense into me. You're tearing the family apart over money, he had shouted when I refused to let him in. The family was torn apart when you all decided my inheritance belonged to you. A week later, Aunt Elaine called. Can we meet somewhere private? Not at your place or mine? We met at a small diner outside town. Your father's telling everyone you've had a mental breakdown. Aunt Elaine looked genuinely worried. He's saying your grandmother's death affected you so badly that you're paranoid and making irrational financial decisions. He's setting up for a conservatorship, isn't he? Aunt Elaine nodded. He's been talking to a lawyer about it. I overheard him on the phone. Why are you helping me? He's your brother. Because I saw him do the same thing to your grandmother before she changed her will to protect you. He tried to control her money too. That was news to me. Grandma knew what he was like? Why do you think she left everything to you specifically? She knew you were the only one strong enough to stand up to him. I pulled out my laptop. I've been collecting evidence, but I'm not sure what to do with it. The annual family reunion is next month at Uncle Pete's lake house. Everyone will be there, including the people Dad's been lying to about me. Aunt Elaine smiled slyly. Exactly. But we need more than just texts and social media posts. What do you have in mind? Your father's desperate. Push him a little more and he'll do something really stupid. We spent the next 2 hours crafting a plan. First, I'd need to make Dad think I was weakening under the pressure. Then, set a trap he couldn't resist. The next day, I called him. Dad, this fighting is killing me. Maybe we can work something out. His tone instantly changed. I knew you'd come around, sweetheart. Why don't you come over tomorrow? Bring those investment documents from your grandmother. Sure, Dad, whatever you say. As I hung up, I felt dirty but determined. The game was on. The day of the family reunion arrived right on schedule. I'd spent the previous 3 weeks building my case, starting with that fake meeting with Dad. I'd brought documents, all right. Blank ones with hidden recording devices. Dad had taken the bait completely. Just sign these transfer forms. He'd slid papers across the table that would have given him power of attorney. It's easier than selling anything right now. What exactly are these forms for, Dad? Just standard stuff. Nothing to worry about, Princess. When I'd hesitated, his mask slipped. Look, either sign the damn papers or I'll make sure everyone knows you've lost your mind. Who do you think the family will believe? Me or you? Got it all on tape, along with him admitting he'd faked medical bills to gain sympathy. I arrived at Uncle Pete's lake house fashionably late. The annual family barbecue was in full swing, with about 40 relatives scattered across the property. There she is, Dad announced as I walked in. My troubled daughter finally decided to join us. I smiled sweetly. Wouldn't miss it for the world. Aunt Elaine caught my eye from across the yard and gave a subtle nod. She'd already connected her laptop to Uncle Pete's TV inside. Everyone, could I have your attention? I clinked a spoon against my glass. I'd like to make an announcement. The chatter died down as relatives gathered around. I understand there's been a lot of talk about me lately, about my inheritance and my supposed mental state. Dad stepped forward. Arlith, this isn't the time. Actually, it's exactly the time. Everyone's here so everyone can hear the truth directly. I nodded to Aunt Elaine, who hit play on the TV. First came the text messages between Dad, Marcus, and Vanessa, displayed in giant format for all to see. What is this? Uncle Pete squinted at the screen. Evidence. My family has been plotting to take my inheritance through manipulation, lies, and fraud. The recording of Dad threatening me played next, his voice crystal clear. Either sign the damn papers or I'll make sure everyone knows you've lost your mind. The crowd gasped. Dad's face turned ghost white. This is taken out of context, Vanessa shouted. Is this doctored? Cousin Taylor asked. Every bit is real. Uncle Warren stepped forward. I can confirm Richard attempted to access Arlith's accounts without authorization. That's fraud. Dad lunged toward the laptop. Turn that off! Uncle Pete blocked his path. Let the girl finish, Richard. I played the recording where Dad admitted faking medical problems to gain sympathy. Aunt Patricia gasped. I sent you $5,000 for those supposed treatments. The evidence kept coming. Social media posts, recorded calls, documentation of the fraudulent power of attorney papers. When it was done, the silence was deafening. You've been lying to all of us, Uncle Pete finally said to Dad. Using the family to pressure this girl into giving up what's rightfully hers. It's a misunderstanding, Dad stammered. I'm calling my lawyer tomorrow, Aunt Patricia announced. I want my money back. You're not welcome in my home anymore, Uncle Pete told Dad, Marcus, and Vanessa. None of you. 6 months later, things look very different. Dad faced charges for attempted fraud, paid restitution to Aunt Patricia, and lost his standing in the family and community. Marcus and Vanessa still won't speak to me, but honestly, that's a blessing. I still have my inheritance, my lake house, and my peace. Best of all, I have a new family circle. The relatives who stood by me when the truth came out. Aunt Elaine and I have Sunday dinners now. Sometimes Uncle Warren and Uncle Pete join us. Turns out Grandma was right. I was strong enough to stand up to them. And now I'm free. Would you completely cut off toxic family members like Arlith did? Or do you believe in giving second chances no matter what? Have you ever had to make a difficult decision between family loyalty and self-protection? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your experiences might help others in similar situations. If you enjoyed this story of revenge and justice, hit that like button and subscribe for more compelling stories about standing up to toxic people. New videos every day.